let's have a look at some of the indexes of 2021, and we can just put it in perspective. And I'm looking here first of all to a monthly chart of the all share index. Now, if anyone was under the belief that the overall index can really go to 72,939 above 73,000, I mean, in the beginning of this year, everybody will say it is unbelievable, it will not happen because we've got so much bad news. There was something interesting here. What happened this year was that the market, and this is the theme of 2021, and you can almost say 2020, that the Federal Reserve came out and they blasted the markets with a lot of capital. They kept interest rates so low that a lot of people are paying what you can call minus interest rates. So if you invest money, it's costing you money. So where's the place to go? The only place to be is in the stock market. Of course, I'm very nervous on this market, but that doesn't say that this market cannot go higher. Now, just have a look here. I mean, if you look at the overall index here, this is the monthly chart. There was the coronavirus. That sell-off it went from 58,000 in a matter of a few weeks all the way down to 43,232. From there, it just rallied up. I mean, from 43,350 all the way up, let's call it 73,000 for a few months. I mean, there was maybe 2 months downward, there was 2 months, and since then it was just up all the way, one way to the top. And the big thing is, it broke this line, and that is where everybody was so surprised about the index. And I know a lot of investors say that you must take your money overseas and you must invest abroad. I mean, the overall index really surprised. Yes, we will look at the S&P 500 if we've got time. But what we see here is that this market is just telling you that when it broke this level of 57,434, it just took off like you can't believe. I mean, if we look at this market, it rallied massive. I mean, we're not sitting on a very high multiple, but the dividend yield is not also not that hefty. I mean, look at this index. It just rallied away. The one thing that I would like to show you is that I want to show you the moving average, and I want to put in a simple 10-month moving average. And the reason why I want to do is I want to keep it as simple as possible. And then you will see what I'm seeing here. The moment we do that, look at this index. It used this 10th month moving average, and it used it exactly as a support. It went briefly below that, it rallied above it, it went briefly above it. But what we know over time is that eventually, look at this moving average, eventually that's the middle, and suddenly you've got this extreme above the moving average, and this steep rally that we've seen. I've always said that I like a chart where the momentum or the you can almost say the uptrend is more of a 45 or 30 degree. But what do we see here? We see almost a 45 degree straight up. I mean, if you sit with a 30% degree, that's fine. I mean, this is one massive rally. So yes, one of the winners, definitely the overall index of South Africa. I mean, it just performed unbelievably well. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. If I can maybe get that, you will be surprised. There's the S&P 500. And I just want to use that little line so that we can see. Let us do the support line there. I mean, there's the rally all the way from 2020. I mean, look at this. You can almost say nothing can go wrong in this index. It just goes up almost in a straight line. Look at your stochastic. The stochastic since January 2021, it just remained above. You can almost say the 80-70 zone. That is just so bullish. It just shows you that this market just wants to fly. Now, if you look at this, there is a rising wedge developing, and maybe this rising wedge can maybe trigger some selling in time to come. But if I look at the moving average and I want to use the 40-week moving average, I just want to edit it a little bit so that you can see what I'm talking about. 40-week moving average on a weekly chart always works well. And that will be my point where I will get nervous. First of all, the first one will be 4,479 and the second one will be 4,338. While it is above that, the momentum is clearly to the up. There's just no things about it. What I must say, if you look at this rally from last year, March, all the way, look at the few weeks that you had some negative weeks. I mean, we had too late in the year, 2 weeks down, and immediately the market came in, and they just went higher and higher and higher. So I'm nervous about the S&P 500. Remember, the big one here is Mr. Powell. He pumps liquidity. He believes that's the place where he wants investors and pension funds their money. But eventually, you remember that we were sitting on a longest straight rally since 1970. The way we're carrying on now, we've never seen a rally like we've seen since 1970. I mean, we are now, let's call it almost, you can say, 50 years. And we're in a real record. And all those beautiful rallies always ended with a little bit of a correction or a sell-off. So be careful about the S&P. But of course, if it breaks above 4,755, new high, it can maybe go to 5,000. Nothing can stop these markets anymore. Let's look at the chart of the NASDAQ. I mean, the NASDAQ is the index that is holding up all these beautiful names, what they call the FANG stocks. I mean, the Apples, the Alphabet of the worlds, Microsoft. I mean, look at this index. I mean, since March, well, you can say March 2020, from 6,685 in one go all the way to above 16,000. And what I do see here, and remember, this is also one of those wonderful indexes, nothing can absolutely go wrong. And there you are, if you look at it, there's the beautiful channel where that index is in. It just shows you that the momentum is up. And let's have a look here. There you are. And this is like a recap of the year. And if you think about it, you will say, listen, Frans, I was in the NASDAQ, but then somebody will say, but don't worry, I was in the overall index. I also made money. So, I mean, whatever you bought this year, you could make money. Now, we're on the support line. Look at the support line, 15,225. If this line breaks, it will break a support line that's all the way from May last year. And that's important. Although we know that the 40-week moving average at 14,514 is still a support. This will be the first time that we see that this rising wedge turn into a negative formation. In actual fact, the other day I said to a friend of mine, I wonder how many guys know negative formations in the last 2 years. They just know positive formations where the market can just push higher. So my two winners for the year was definitely S&P surprised us all, NASDAQ surprised us all, overall index surprised us all. Let's have a look at the gold index. Excuse me, rather the platinum index, because the gold index was doing well, some of the big gold miners, but look at this platinum index. I mean, from March 2021, from let's call it 27, it went all the way up to 116. And what is in this index? Anglo-American platinum, you can say Northern platinum, Royal Bafokeng. Now look at those mines, Impala platinum. There was some nice merger talks, and it just shows you here, if you look at an index like the platinum index, look at this rally. There's your support line. And I would like to show you, there's it. I mean, it rallied way above this. So one of the winners of this year 2021 is definitely the platinum index. I mean, it just you can almost say rocket, and I mean nothing could hold this index back. It was just one of the winners of the year. Let's have a look at, if we can, if we've got time, the resources index. What's nice about this chart of the resources index is to tell you and to show you that, remember, whenever you trade in a resource, you can expect these huge drops, beautiful rallies, huge drops, rallies, huge drops. That is, you can almost say, one of the, points that you can look at when you trade the resource index. Always keep in mind, and even the resource shares, it can maybe just throw you around. But if we look at this, I mean, it was one of the winners of the year. It gave a pullback, but we're on the brink of just extending this wonderful rally that we've seen. And above 70,120, this index will break up and it will give you brand new momentum to the top. What I do like about this index, look what it does. It goes every time that it goes back to the 40-week moving average, finds support, rallies up, beautiful. Well, a few weeks ago, around August, it actually dropped below this. Look what it did. It worked its way all the way up, and then it went above. So we're on the brink of maybe heading higher. So I like the resources index. I must just warn you that, remember, the resource index is actually one of those indexes where if you pick the share right, maybe like an Anglo-American or a Billiton or a Kumba or a Sasol, you can make a lot of money. But keep your mind on the pulse. Say, for instance, with the resources index, if this 40-week moving average of 65,527 starts to turn into a resistance on a weekly basis, and the second week it does that again, and you're sitting with a nice profit, just think twice about it. So be careful. Resources got this huge swings. Even keep that in mind for 2022. Well, visit our website www.fransklerk.com for more info, and we'll chat again.